Have you ever asked yourself, what the fuck am I doing with my life? This question makes some people uncomfortable. Maybe it's the way I ask the question. It's not that they don't use profanity. Some just don't use it in public. Write this down. Hiding keeps others from finding you, but it also keeps you from finding yourself. Hiding keeps others from finding you, but it also keeps you from finding yourself. I want you to think differently with me today. I want you in this short session to say what you really want to say so that you can live the life you really want to live. I want you to think differently because life is far more unpredictable than it is short. My hope is that after today, you will no longer wait. You won't wait to start your business. You won't wait to end that relationship. You won't wait to start showing the world who you really are. I want you to think differently about your value. Think differently about your worth. Think differently about your ability to be great now, not later, not one day, but now. I have several questions I want you to consider. My first question is, do you rent your life or do you own it? Yes, you heard me correctly. Do you rent your life or do you own it? In other words, does someone else set the rules you live by every day, or are you free to follow your passions, your dreams? Are you free to follow your gut? Most people live and die never owning their own life. Someone else tells them where to be, when to be there, how to talk, how to feel, and what opinions are acceptable. Today, I want you to consider how different you would be if you owned it. I want you to consider why you have the courage to be a fan of others, but not the courage to have fans of your own. Where's your book, your clothing line, all the stuff you promised yourself you would do? Who or what have you allowed to slow you down? What the fuck are you doing with your life? Okay, let me slow down and properly introduce myself. Hi. I'm Tammy von Nordheim, and I help people achieve their goals by telling them the truth. I know, the truth. What a novel idea. I encourage people to stop renting their lives and own it instead. I could use our time today and tell you stories that inspire you, stories that give you chill bumps, but sometimes we just need to hear the plain truth. No filter, no fluff. After all, those who we trust with our lives are people who tell it to us straight. Isn't that what the doctor does? We don't go to the doctor to hear a story. We go to hear the truth. Our question today is an honest one, and it deserves an answer. There's so much noise around us. It's easy to listen to 25 YouTube videos and read 10 books, only to go right back to where we were before. Something is missing. Something is missing. I said I was in the business of telling the truth, so let me tell you the truth about fear, the truth about confidence, the truth about time. If I'm going to ask what you're doing with your life, it's only fair for me to tell you a little bit about mine, who I am, where I came from, and why I'm here. I was born in Toccoa, Georgia, a small country town in the northeast Georgia mountains. I love my home. I love the people that I grew up with there. But the truth is, sometimes small towns can cultivate small thinking. When I was a child, I'd see adults working long-term jobs. They weren't happy doing the same job over and over for decades, but they never changed, never tried to improve, never tried to get more education to increase their options. I didn't want that to be me. As a teenager, I worked at Eckerd Drugstore. I also worked for a law firm and even McDonald's. But deep down inside, I didn't want to live and die having never tried something bigger in my life. I just didn't want that to be me. Eventually, I left Toccoa and moved to Atlanta, dated a wonderful man, and then we got married. We wanted to start a family, and so using IVF, we ended up getting pregnant with our baby boy named Mason. Now, ladies, you know when you're first pregnant, you are nervous about everything. If the wind blows, you think something's wrong, right? You want everything to be perfect, and things were going pretty good. They really were. Around 5 months in, I slipped in our home and fell one day. But don't worry, everything was okay. I still felt little Mason moving and kicking, but we decided to go to the doctor just to be sure. The nurse looked a little closer and found some tunneling. I was dilating. The baby was on his way. I was still trying to be positive. I wanted a healthy boy. I needed a healthy boy. Shortly thereafter, my water broke, and all hell broke loose. They were trying to stop the contractions. I was hanging almost upside down with all this medication being pumped into me. I was losing my mind. We needed Mason to stay in a few more weeks. I was 19 weeks. I needed to get to 24. I'd heard of these complications happening to other women, but I didn't want that to be me. A little while later, our baby came. Mason was here, but he couldn't survive. Everything I had hoped for, all the plans I had made, all of them were gone. Have you ever gone through something that takes the very life out of you? Ever had a loss so profound that it almost made you lose your will to live? I want you to think about this. Whatever you've lost, whoever you've lost, should encourage you to do all you can in their name, not later, but now. Not only isn't tomorrow not promised, tonight isn't promised. Your pain is your power. Use it. Use your pain to give you focus. Use your pain to give you boldness. When we lost Mason, we had embryos left from our IVF cycles. Eventually, a young family who could not have children used our embryos to have a child. They had a boy, a beautiful baby boy. I saw a picture of him. It's like he's from another place, another world. I could have sworn in his eyes he asked me a question. He said, "What are you doing with your life?" Your pain is your power. The question is, why don't we use this power? There are really only 3 reasons why we don't do the things our heart is telling us to do: fear, courage, and time. Let me tell you something you may have never heard. Fear is your friend. Most people say, overcome your fear. I say, fear makes you focus. Fear makes you appreciate your efforts. If only you knew how many of the people you admire are doing what they're doing while shaking in their boots. The truth about fear is you can be greater with it than you can be without it. Don't wait till fear is gone before you follow your dreams. With your voice shaking and your hands sweating, go where your heart is leading you. Here's the truth about courage. What is courage but your ability to act while you're afraid? Courage is not the absence of fear, but your ability to act in spite of your fear. Finally, the truth about time can be summarized in 2 words, and you've already heard me say it before. Don't wait. I thought I needed more education before speaking at conferences around the world. I thought no one would take me seriously if I didn't have certain letters behind my name. The reality is, when you wait, time is always against you, but when you act, time gets on your side. Action causes more action, and momentum builds in your favor. Please listen. There is a group of people on this earth who can only hear your voice. Your voice is assigned to a people. Oprah can say it, Bishop Jakes can say it, but they can only hear the advice when you say it. When you really understand this, you will stop making excuses of why you can't start, and you'll start today. Somebody is not going to make it unless they hear your voice. Don't wait. Waiting makes time your enemy. Acting makes time your friend. For years, I've hosted a women's empowerment group called Girl in the Glass. For a long time, I hesitated growing the group because I felt unqualified. Despite the fact that many women were being affected in a positive way, I was still sabotaging myself by comparing myself to others who had more qualifications. One day I was speaking to a psychologist friend, and he knew of the positive effects on the women, and he encouraged me to go forward. He advised me to not call it therapy, but to go forward and let people hear my voice. He gave me the seed of support to help me see my gifts as they really were. Powerful, influential, and global. I've decided to go for it. I've decided to be great today, and I've decided to make that little boy proud of who I've become. How about you? I hope that after today, you've decided to bring your talents out of hiding and make your pain proud of you. I hope you've decided to let the world hear your voice. Let them finally hear your voice. I hope that one day you walk up to me with tears in your eyes and say, "Tammy, look what I did with my life." I'm Tammy. That's my time. I thank you for yours.